Things we're looking for 2024 is obviously financial backing, obviously the major issues in terms of insurance and what have you, but the serviceability and capability to actually get a slab down this year is more serious than people are really understanding in terms of volume at the moment. We are in a boom, established and construction, and we just got to ride the wave, but we just got to be smart.
It's going to remain, and it's going to remain as well.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde and
Catherine Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello. It's been a while.
What are you talking about?
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been in.
We've been touching base on the WhatsApp, but it's good to see you face to face.
That's it. You know, not been putting out as many podcasts. We decided last year to go to about two.
Fortnightly,
yeah, just to give people a chance to actually. Feedback we're getting is that we're coming a little bit too quick, and obviously being quite a dry subject, there's only so many topics before we start going round again and all that sort of thing. So,
but we have a hot topic today. Bloody hell.
We're going to talk about the current capacity overview and what builders are facing out in that market. And this is coming hot off the press because we have been dealing with this literally this morning, literally yesterday. Like it's
the
constant.
whole year, really, you know.
It's mad. We talk about the land with Damon a couple of weeks ago. Now we're here, right here with this, the builder's capacity. And
I feel like we talk about this every day, all day, and I think we'll probably just need to talk to everyone else about it.
And then realise, hold on, this is actually an issue. And I think it came to light when we're speaking to some clients or people in the general going, oh, we'll go to the big builders and all this stuff, and go, hold on, there's other things you need to know and why you should use a broker because we're in the know.
I think really today what we're going to do is just do an overview of the building construction industry for 2024 and really focus on the capacity levels. And why that is so important for 2024 is particularly in the Perth region, we are in a real estate boom. So I'm sure you've seen it in the media. Real estate is going crazy. Especially, you know, you see the established market, they're on for 2 days, sold, under offer, don't even see the house, do a video, send it over east. You know, it's completely crazy. But on top of that, the property boom is not just the established market, it's also the construction market. And that's really what we're going to focus on today because a lot of the time, and I'm sure you agree with me, you have those clients that are trying to find something established, but they cannot because of the competition. So they go, okay, well, let's build. But we really need to educate clients that we are just as much as busy as the established market in terms of capacity because we are just in such a quick, rapid boom. And that obviously affects land pricing, but also the capacity on the builder side. So we're really touching about, capacity and how we're dealing it and how we're helping clients out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely second everything you're saying there. It is crazy, I suppose. And just touch on what we do as a kind of business model with the brokering is we have multiple builders, so we can spread the risk over builders. But again, you know, what we do is we go out there and find out who's got the capacity, who hasn't, which builders we can use. And that literally is changing month to month. Some builders are going, hey, we're going to close the door for 2 months. Some builders are like, right, we've got capacity.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so a lot of time price point isn't really the main factor. It's literally who's got the quality in the build to do it, you know. Also, price point is important. It's not
in terms of price. I mean, you have your tiers with your entry point builders, your mid-range builders, and then your higher end builders. Generally speaking, within each category, everyone's price range is the same. Do you know what I mean? So if you're talking to 2 or 3 medium range builders, they're all price-wise very similar. What is the most important thing is serviceability and capability to actually be able to build their homes, particularly for 2024. So we really want to talk about the back end and how the builders are managing the workflow. And what I mean by this is in 2020, obviously the grants came out, and I think we've really learned the lesson of how not to take on business, you know, when there is such a boom. So we're basically going back to back from one boom to another. And, you know, I think we learned our lesson, well, builders did anyway, not taking on more than they can chew because they can't actually build the homes. The pricing is almost irrelevant by the time they build the house. And 3, and it's really bad public relations for their branding when, you know, you're having these huge blowouts in terms of timeframes and what have you. So I would say majority of builders have learned that lesson. And what I mean by that is essentially every month, Tony and I will meet with our builders and talk to them about where they are capacity-wise. Now, in terms of those larger volume builders that you know, sometimes in a regular market, they may take on, let's say, 80 build contracts a month. They're now a capacity of about 50.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a huge, you know, percentage that they're reducing their workflow. But I actually respect when builders are saying that
Absolutely.
to me, because then I go, okay, if you are capping at 50, then I know that you can service 50, right? On top of that, there are ones that are taking on 80 and only servicing 50, right? And which is the ones we're obviously going to be avoiding.
And we don't work with them, but we know through the industry that there are, whether it's the builders or who it is, taking them on and then cherry picking the best contracts and getting rid of the ones that are going to be too much of an effort or titles are too far away. And it's not the way to do it. It really is. It's almost immoral, right? You know, but again,
I really hate the business model, and it's something I'm passionate and I'm happy to say on camera is the concept of taking on any project and then cherry picking what ones you're actually going to do. I don't think it's right to be signing clients up, taking their deposit when you actually have a 50-50 intention of actually building that house, right?
Absolutely.
They're the ones that generally come across our desk because they're going, I've been sitting with this builder for 3 months, nothing's happened. I'm floating in the air. And generally speaking, I'll be honest with you, they are mostly the planning jobs, all right? So right now, because we're in such a boom, builders really just want to go and have the easy greenfield estates, right? So they just want the 12.5 by 30 tree B or, you know, whatever.
Flat, the block's already flat, nice and easy.
A-class soil, no issues,
minimal
no concerns.
changes to the design, throw it down and away we go, right?
Yeah, which is, to be
Understandable.
fair, ideal for me as well,
It is,
okay?
it's easy for us. It's
Easy,
easy to work,
right? But what happens is sometimes builders do not take on those clients. They take on a little bit more complex jobs. And there's just a really misalignment in terms of what you can actually service and what you're actually going to build, you know. So I had a client come across my desk the other day. They signed with a large project builder for a Les Moody block like this with no septic tanks, with nothing. And I go, wow, that's a really misalignment in terms of branding to be building that project. Now, of course, I'll be honest, I don't think that builder had any intention of building that house because it's not really what they do. And that's fine, but just don't take on that clientele, right? And I think it almost will come from a sales rep point of view where it's like perhaps you just really need to stick to what your brand is selling and really working with that, you know,
Absolutely.
not going outside of that cookie cutter positioning in the market, particularly in this market, because you really just, your client won't get that build.
And that's another thing that's happened. One, for what we do is we've got the builders that are quite experienced in going at those sort of areas and going, right, this is what it's going to do. They're not cheap builders, but they're experienced. It's what they like to do. They've got the experience on it. Some of your, like you said, we call the cookie cutter ones, will take it on, but they don't have any intention. But we've also got some of our builders turn around and going, we don't want to do battle axe at the moment. We don't want to do side-by-sides or anything. We just want the greenfield tiles, and that's fine. At least we know where we stand because they know they're going to put the best foot forward and service the clients they can. So that we're not going through that and saying no, which I really respect that from the builders. They're not trying to be something they're not. And I agree with that because we've seen them all. You get to Tony, look at this block and you're like, mate, you're 150 grand just even sort of looking at it for site works, and that's not even without doing any like testing on that. And they're like, really, this builder said, you're like, yeah, guys, run away quickly. Don't pay any money. Then. Yeah. And we've said this a million times. Do not pay the deposit until you're completely happy with the sketch, the site works plan, and all that done. Make sure don't put any money down until you do it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'll go back to that Les Moody client. It's actually a really good example. So they did the PPA signed with Project Builder. Let's call him Project Builder, you know. Just put one in there. They're all the same. But then what happened was, you know, this block was a little bit complex, to be fair, and I had a good look at it, and they did a provisional sum for earthworks for $15,000. And I go, wow. And he goes, yeah, that's just the default that company uses for infill blocks, right? I said, look, before that's cheap infill.
I know. I mean, it's 2024. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. But I go, okay, I'm going to go and get 2 earthwork quotes from earthwork companies before I proceed with any builder, okay? Just so we can have a real good ballpark of where we're sitting in terms of earthworks. Well, site works really. So it was just the earthwork part of the site works, to be fair. But I came back 2 weeks later and I sat the clients down. I said, great, I have a quote. One is 87,000 just for earthworks and one is 80,000 just for earthworks, right? Then on top of that, you have the builder loading. And then we have the actual site works on top of that. We didn't have septics, nothing, okay? So all up was about 140 grand, right?
30, 40 grand right there, right?
So that was a fun conversation. But in saying that, you know, when people really focus on price, that's when they can get caught out, because they went with a project builder, obviously, because they had a very sharp price of 15,000, which of course was a provisional sum, which means nothing. So yeah, they're sort of the things you look out for when, you know, really selecting the builder in terms of the capacity overview of it, you know?
Yep. So then, you know, what any builder comes in, what happens in, they've got a workflow, right? They've got a workflow chart of what happens in. And unfortunately, just because you sign up before another client doesn't mean to say that you jump ahead of the schedule. I think if you haven't listened to the podcast with Damon Strang from Able Land Sales, go back and it'll explain the issues we've got with land.
Yeah.
We have got land, it's just getting it titled, which means ready to build, right, simply. So basically, you know, like, that's what's happening. That's probably what's dictating a lot of their workflow is what's titled. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what would happen is you might sign up if your land's not titled till December and I come in and mine's titled October, I'm going to jump the queue. So nothing might happen with you for a couple of months. You might just be sitting there but you have to understand that nothing's going to happen. You know, you can't really go and get your finance until you're closer to land being titled. If you're pre-approved, that's going to elapse after 3 months and you're going to have to reapply. That doesn't always impact your credit score. If you're passing it, it's fine, but it still can impact. You don't really implicitly, the broker doesn't want to be, or your finance guy doesn't want to be doing it 2 or 3 times. But I'm seeing a lot more of that happening now as well, where when titles are due, they're trying to get it 2 months before, so all the paperwork's done so that they can get to site. Again, great with the builders when they're on top of that, because then they can manage that workflow with regards to when they're getting to site. Again, and that also comes out with, they might sign up 50 in the month, but if they've got 50 that month and then December's like a big day for titles, because it might be, you know, that area might title 50, 60 blocks. They might have 20 of them.
Yeah.
So that can impact their workflow. So they're really being completely transparent and open and honest about, oh, this is working, this isn't working, or, yeah, I can take that one on because you're not titled till March sort of thing. I'm seeing that as well. It's almost like a conversation with the admin behind the scenes going, hey, is this one working? Can we put it in the system? Because again, we might want it in the system, but we don't start working on it till about a month later because we don't class as April's, we class as May's thing. It's really, it sounds a bit convoluted, but it's the way we're getting it done. It's so that they don't bust out into these 14, 15-month build times again.
Yeah.
And what happened with the C word happens again.
So I think what you're saying is basically the work schedule around it is if a builder has 50 clients or build contracts for that month, they will get each client and just basically categorize them by the title of land. Yes. If the block is titled, your build contracts will come out earlier than say someone coming out in December. Yeah. So it is a time frame thing and it is a workflow thing. So generally speaking, you know, when you start to lodge with the builder, we do say 6 to 2 months for a build contract, depending, but you will be pushed back if you are later titles. Yeah,
it's almost like, the thing is, like, it doesn't matter when you sign up, it's when your land's titled. That's what they're doing. So if they might turn around and go, hey, we don't have much breaking ground in September, so we've got a capacity for another 4 or 5. Who needs to build in September? It's not like when you sign up, it's when your land's going to be, or when we think the land's going to be titled.
Yeah. So in terms of, on our side, when we're choosing builders for this year, capacity and serviceability is probably the number one topic, which clients actually aren't probably aware of more so than anything. So what I mean by that is when we talk to a builder, they will say, we're not going to take on any new contracts for the next 2 months, right? Or for the next 2 months or 3 months, we are only going to do estate builds, or we're only going to do X, Y, and Z. And they're being a little bit more restrictive would be the word on what kind of business they're going to take on. Now, I actually view that as a positive thing because that means that they have foresight and like correct management to really go, what can we actually do? What can we actually build? We want to keep the integrity for the client and we want to keep the integrity for our brand moving forward and positioning ourselves as something that we do well. We're not going off-road just to take business on, you know? So it also makes sure that my clients are in alignment because if the builder is not keen to do, let's say, a battle axe or, you know, a rear block build, that's fine. I can put them with a builder that is willing to do that. Yeah. And that actually helps me because I know that they're going to get a much better service and faster build time frame.
Absolutely. With your builders as well, keep an eye out for things like freebies and things like that. We're so busy at the moment, builders shouldn't have to offer out incentives to sign up with
Promos.
Discounts. I'd be a bit worried about that kind of thing. Now, you can get discounts to make a deal work sort of thing when you've been working with a client, but that might just be you're upscaling on the skills or it needs to be done or we're on a tight budget. That's fine. There's a difference. But to get you to go and sign up, or here's a free kitchen or whatever it needs to be, I'd be a bit worried about that because nothing's ever free. There'll be somewhere in the price that'll be bumping up, or you won't be able to change the kitchen, or there'll be something. There'll be a caveat that won't allow it. So
you always get clients who go, "Oh, can I get a discount?" And I always say, "Not in this market." The pricing is so rapid in terms of the Perth boom at the moment that no one is desperate for business, and that's probably the way I frame it. And I don't mean to be rude, but I'm like, look. No one is knocking on my door asking for build contracts, right? It is what it is. Everyone is super busy. No one is desperate to build your house. It is almost a swing in terms of, a supply and demand sort of swing. Yep. So it just makes me laugh. But I had a client that said, this build is in Yanchep, so can I get a 20 grand discount? And I was like, well, no. And he goes, yeah, but it's not Perth Metro, so I want a discount. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't really work like that. And to be fair, you should actually get a more high price because you are outside the metro and due to material loading and logistics, and it actually should be
we've
more.
Got the market which goes in every certain distance you go down or closer to hub spots down south. It floats between 5 and 10%, right? Of loading on.
Yeah, okay. So I said, actually, I don't think any builder in this market is desperate to be driving out to Yanchep to build your house. No. But I appreciate the enthusiasm. So no, he didn't get his discount.
And I suppose another one about choosing a builder and what we do, because we spoke about this before we started recording, was about we're not actually using the bigger project builders. And when I say the tier ones, and what we're saying, that's not about quality or serviceability, that's about just the size of the builder, right? What they do. We're on the tier 2 ones, the ones that are completely financially stable, looking really good. We're kind of I know you as well. We're playing in that market because they've got the certainty about what's going to get happen. They're being completely transparent up on it. And I think it's more, there's not as many cogs in the system for it to go on. They're not getting pummeled with 70, 80 sales reps. It's a smaller amount, so they can keep a better handle on it and still guarantee those build times. Now, the guarantees have gone. The 12-month guarantees, I think they're pretty much gone from most builders now. They're still trying to aim for it, and our builders are still trying to keep under the 12, which is great.
Look, I think generally if you're doing a custom, no, but generally if you can do just a standard floor plan, we should be sticking to 12 months. Yeah.
And that's saying anything more than that. I mean, they might jump out, but I know that they're trying to stay at, and that's why they're doing this time frame and how many they're going to take on.
Yeah. So in terms of what Tony's talking about in terms of the volume builders, now the reason we're avoiding them is because of the word volume. So they are taking on so much market share that you will just be very much a lost number right now. And I think we learned that from BGC back in the day. I actually talked to a girl the other day. She's building through terrace homes is no longer, but she's still doing it 3 years later, right? Because obviously awesome. BGC was the volume builder. So it is very much, let's learn that lesson. Let's not put clients through volume builders for 2024. Let's, diversify and spread the risk to more of a tier 2 builder. I talked to a pre-start consultant the other day. Pre-start consultant essentially is who is the person that helps you choose your tiles and colour selections to finish your home internally and externally. And she moved to a tier 2 builder. And I said, she came from a tier 1. I said, oh, how come you moved? And, because we're in such a boom that obviously, that's kind of a big deal. And she essentially said, well, the builder that she was working for had 1,200 build contracts still in the system, and she had to service 1,200. And the crazy part of that, Tony, is that builder is still taking on business.
Wow.
Okay. And I was like, 1,200 build contracts realistically is about 2 years of work for that builder. So for them to be taking on more business, you're just not going to get a house this year, okay?
To give you the stats, right, with the immigration that's coming in roughly, and this is right up to about 2040, this is what's in now, that'll probably change. So let's just talk about what it looks like, what those numbers are telling us, is we need about 15 to 16,000 homes per year up to 2040. That's what they're saying. those stats will change, mining boom will change, whatever will happen, but that's what they're telling us. That's what the boffins are telling us. The boffins, is that right word?
I'm going with it. Let's go with it.
And we're still in a little bit of a surplus. We're behind, right? And we can't keep up with the demand of people coming over. So therefore, there's, taking on that amount, they're going to start clogging the system again. It's really important to pick the right builder, or really important to come see me and Catherine, and we'll help you because we know the right builders to make sure you get that nice, smooth process, right?
Yeah, things we're looking for 2024 is obviously financial backing, obviously the major issues in terms of insurance and what have you, but the serviceability and capability to actually get a slab down this year is more serious than people are really understanding in terms of volume at the moment. We are in a boom, established and construction, and we just got to ride the wave, but we just got to be smart.
It's going to remain, and it's going to remain as well.
Yeah.
For a while.
Oh, yeah. So that's us for this topic.
Perfect.
Short
and sweet.
Short and sweet. That was over 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Well, give us a shout. Reach out to us on YouTube, Spotify, all the usual socials, Instagram, wherever we're at, TikTok. And any questions, we see the feedback on there. Sometimes we stand corrected, sometimes we don't. We just go on what we've been told or what we see.
Yeah.
We're not here trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, unlike some people on TikTok like to suggest. It's not the case. It's the information we had at the time. But again, thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and do all the usual stuff. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.